Okay guys, so I wanted to make a video to help you guys understand how to install my mod. This is going to cover everything from beginning to end, including how to create a database. This video is designed for Windows and VPSs. It's very similar to Linux as well, so you can use this video if you're on a Linux. It'll just be a different way of transferring the files, of course, or if you're just hosting the server on your local computer. That's this video. If you're using a game host, this video isn't for you. There's going to be a second video out for game hosts, so you guys understand what you need to do with that. So if you're on a game host, don't watch this video, watch the other one. Okay, so you're going to start around this page, either this page or you're going to get the link from my early releases section in Discord. Either way and all, they both take you to the GitHub. So the download section, gone past the download section, so you just click on the download section. I've only just created the GitHub, never used it before, but obviously it's going to be a lot easier for you guys to see what's been added for future versions. And for those of you, I know a lot of you, and well, some of you do edit your own versions, and you just use bits and bobs from my own version. So this way it'll make it a lot easier to realise what's been updated and what you need. As at the bottom there's a readme, so it'll tell you the current version. Discord, if you need any help at all guys, jump onto the Discord. You got myself, the other developers and my support that can help, along with pretty much everyone else on the server. The vast majority of people understand how this pack works now, so you can just ask in the general and support chat. Okay, the installation instructions are here as well. As I say, this is for version 6. Any future versions, if it's not identical to this on the installation instruction aspect, it'll be updated here. So always check this out. If you're looking at this video and it's not version 6, read this. If it's the same, perfect. Okay, so as it says, copy the folders inside master to your FX server and resource folders, and do not copy the master folder itself. So we'll go back to that in a second. I'm going to go from the very beginning here. So this is how to download FX server itself. So I'm going to show you how to set up an FX server and then put my mod on top. So it's literally a cover from the very beginning. So it covers everything that you need to know. So every single link that's on here, these 4 tabs that I've got open, will be down in the comments below for ease of use for yourself. So the FX server, what you need to do is get yourself over to, well, read it, tell step by step for Windows, step by step for Linux. The Linux setup is pretty similar. You just have to follow that for the installation of the actual server itself. Copying the files over is the same as Windows, though you just have to use software like FileZilla, for instance, to transfer them over. So anyway, back to Windows. So what you need to do is you need to, first things first, make sure that you see Visual C++ read distributable is up to date. That's been recently added, but you do need to make sure that that is up to date, and then you need to create a folder. Okay, so I'm going to put this on my F drive and FX server. The server name, the folder name makes no difference, absolutely no difference whatsoever. It doesn't have any effect on anything that you're going to be doing. It's just for your own peace of mind, really, and just so you understand, so you know what's in that folder. So if you just keep it as FX server, nice and simple. Then you need to go over to here, highlight over artifact server, click on here, select whether you're in Windows or Linux. Obviously I'm doing this for Windows. Always select master from there, scroll to the very bottom, and it will show you the latest version. Okay, it goes up numerically here. So the latest version as of today's date, today's the 2nd of the 11th, as you can see, but the latest version of FiveM server is from the 27th of October, which is version 407. You need to make sure that you keep your FX server up to date at all times, so that you'll always go back to this. I'd advise checking it daily to keep it updated. So all you do, click it, download the server.zip. Once you've got that open, you simply get into your FX server folder again, and then we're going to put everything that's in here, in here, into this folder here. So nice and simple, from Citizen all the way down, every single thing that you need here is needed. So just make sure that you extract it all to the FX server folder. Once that's done, you can close that one. We don't need to worry about that again. Right, now we need to go back all the way to this to the wiki, and then you'll need to get the server data. Okay, so click on this, it'll take you to the GitHub. Clone or download as a zip. Open up this. Right, so this is what I was talking about before when I said about the master folder. It's the same with any GitHub folder. Right, you open up the master folder and it's the things inside that you need. In this case, you don't actually need the Git from it, but as always, best practice, if it's in there, just copy it out. Get it in there. It'll have no effect on anything else, so just make sure it's in there. So now you put that into your FX server folder as well. So now you've got citizen, resources, and everything else. Okay, that is FiveM server set up. Simple as that. FiveM server is now set up without a server config file. Okay, so we're going to get that from my pack, so you don't need to worry about that. So that is now done with. Close that down. Brilliant. So now we've got so now we're going back to my GitHub, downloading. So again, exactly the same way you download it. Clone or download zip. That'll bring up this. Now, as it says in the installation, copy the folder inside the master, exactly the same way as we did with the other one. So you don't make sure that you open master first, and then it's these folders inside every single folder. You're just going to extract into the FX. Oh, sorry, apologies. Let me just cancel that. I knew I'd make a mistake at some point during this video. Okay, so back to here where we are. Sorry. So let's open the resources folder and drag it into resources. So all these folders go into the resources folder. Then the README is literally this README here. So if you want to just read it in your own time, feel free. And then this is the server CFG and the start server command. So we'll go through them next. So once this finishes extracting, it should only take about a minute, depending on obviously your computer and the drive. This is just a standard hard drive I'm putting this onto, so an SSD will obviously be a lot smoother, and I do recommend if you are running the server, running from an SSD. Of course, this is just for test purposes, so that's why it's just on a standard drive. Okay, so this is just about done. And now it's just moving the medium further. Okay, so it's just a case of waiting around for this. Let's give it its 5 seconds that needs to be done. So the hardest part about this is making sure that you put the things in the right place. Like for instance, I nearly copied the file. The reason I'm not going to edit that out at all is because I want you to realise that obviously you can. And if it, sorry, apologies, back to this. If it does come up with replace any files, make sure you do, because there's files within my files that do overlap. Do overlap some of the things that you would have downloaded from the FiveM server files, but they're needed for my stuff. Oh yeah, so as I said, so to make sure, you have to make sure they go into resources and not any other folder. Okay, now back to FX server, because we're back here now. Right, the server config file and the start server command both go in here. Right, this is your config file. So we open this up, close everything else down. Right, here you need to put your database information. If you haven't yet made a database, fine, we're going to cover the database, part in this video. Leave these two alone, and then everything else is set up for you. So the only thing you do need to do is come down here, of course, change the server name to whatever you want it to be. Make sure it's inside the quotation marks. You need to take off that hash and recon password, and then where it's got change me is actually just type in your actual password, whatever you want your password to be. Okay, nice and simple. Oh, sugar. Nice and simple. Right, so that part's set up, nice and simple. Start server, right click it, edit it with Notepad++, change the directory of wherever you've just created it in. So if it's on your C drive and it's called FX server, this is obviously C FX server, D drive FX server, whatever it is. That's the only part you need to edit in here. Save it, close it, and then you can just, when you're starting your server, as it says on the tin, double click it, it'll come up and say, do you want to start VRP? Just press return, or any button, and it'll start it up. This is just a quicker way of getting the server started up for you guys. Okay, so for the interim, we're sorted. That's everything that we need to do. Okay, that is everything that we need to do. Now it's moving on to the database. So the two things that you need is XAMPP. Again, the link will be in the description below. You just go onto the page, download Windows, Linux, of course, whichever one you want to use, and hide the SQL. Just go on the download page. Again, link will be below. Hide the 9.4 installer. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Of course, if you're not using Windows, there's any sort of SQL database, it's just to connect to it so you can read the database itself. Okay, so once they're downloaded and installed, XAMPP will come up with something that looks like this. It doesn't. If all these are saying start, it doesn't matter. Has no effect. The only two that you're interested in is the Apache and the MySQL. So always start Apache first, and always start MySQL second. Once they're done, as long as they're green and there's no errors coming up here, you're fine. There should be no issues. Now, I've heard that there's some issues with this port, the MySQL port, because apparently Skype uses it. So if you do get some issues and you are using Skype, make sure you close Skype down, or you can change the port itself in the config itself if you want to change it to whatever you want it to be. So this aspect here is in essence the database setup. Okay, the hide the SQL is just to access the database in a more, because if you click on admin here for SQL, it'll take you to PHP MyAdmin. But hide the SQL is just much more efficient to use. So let me open up hide the SQL. Hide the SQL. Okay, so here I can connect to. Obviously, you press new, rename that to whatever you want it to rename it to, enter the host name here, host name or password, enter the username and the password and the port. By default 3306 is the port that most databases use, so I'm just going to go to my FX server one. Okay, and here what we're going to do, since this is on me computer itself, it's fine, I can just drop this database completely. Okay, so this is what you'll be, delete that one as well, don't need that anymore. This is what you'll be dealt with, something along these lines. Okay, so all you need to do in here is right click, create new database. Now, name of the database, this is where common questions come up. Does it have to be VRPFX? The answer to your question is no. It could be whatever you want it to be. You'll understand why when we get further on through the video, but for now, as default, VRPFX is the easiest one to just go with. If you go with VRPFX, then you can follow this video to the key and life will go on a lot smoother. Right, so now the database is set up. So because I've set up this database myself, I've kept and it's on my own computer, I've just kept the username to root, which is default, and I've left the password as blank. Again, that's default. So that information will only change if you've changed it. Okay, so now what you need to go into is your resources, VRP, config, base.lua. Open it up in Notepad++. Again, if it's on your computer, bingo, throw it in there. We've just created the database VRPFX, root and no password. This is default. This is what I've put in as default for those that are load them on your own computer. You won't even need to go in here. Now, if you version 6, if you're on version 6 or higher, you'll have all of these languages that you can select from. So you got English, French, Italian, German, Portuguese, Russian, Lithuanian, and Danish. Okay, and they are the shortcodes for them. So you simply replace in here where it's got EN to whatever language that you speak natively and want to use on the server. Okay, don't get me wrong, there is some parts that aren't translated, so you will come across some parts that may not be translated, but the mass majority is. And so it's, as of right now, it's supporting 8 different languages, which is always a good start. So once you're finished in there, we can close that down. We don't need to go in there anymore. That's the database section set up. If you are getting VRP identification error when you are starting your server, it's because this part is wrong. If you started your server, you've tried to join, or it's coming up in the in your console saying VRP identification error, it's this. This is the part that you've done wrong. You've either put the database isn't on your computer, database name isn't that, your username isn't that, or your password isn't that. And make sure obviously it's always within the bracket, within the quotation marks. That is the simple side of it. That's the only reason that error will come up, is these 4 lines here. So something in them 4 lines is wrong, which means that you've done something wrong. Okay, so as I say, we can close out of that. That is now done. We now go to the server and make sure the database IP, database name and user ID is there. Because I've got no password, I don't need to put a password in, it just defaults to blank. So that's that done, but obviously you'll need to edit. If you do need to put a password, just simply type in password at the end, password equals and then whatever your password is, and then make sure you put a semicolon at the end. Okay, nice and simple. Right, so last but not least, edit with Notepad++. Let's actually change the file. So it's FX server. Okay, so I'm just going to change this to FX server. Save that. Now you'll see what I mean. If I double click that, it'll come up saying FX server VRP. Press any key to continue. Your antivirus may pick this up as a virus. If it does, just allow it through the firewall. It's obviously not a virus. Just press any key to continue. Let's see. So I'm allowing the access to it. This will then start everything up. Okay, so good practice is to scroll up. Don't worry about this one. When it comes to the MySQL app, that isn't an error that you need to worry about. If you see that and that's your only error, then you're fine. Everything's running smoothly. So you're scrolling down, making sure that there's no other errors. The errors are above whatever resource is started. So for instance, if VRP had an issue, the error will be in between this gap here, but obviously a lot taller. So you can see that that's all started and worked. Everything's up and running. So you should now be able to just start FiveM. Start FiveM. If you are running the server on your own PC like I am here, you just need to go to direct connect and then type in localhost. Your server will then come up. You then click connect and it's done. If you do need to, if you are hosting it on your own computer and you plan on hosting an actual server on your own computer for your friends or your community, etc., to actually play on, what you will need to do is open the ports. I'll just let this finish loading up and I'll show you which port it is. Right, where's the server CFG? This port here, 30120. That needs to be completely open, in and out. Okay. So the TCP and UDP both need to be 30120 ports in your router, and they need to be forwarded. If they are, then anyone can connect if you're hosting it on your own computer. Okay, I can't do a tutorial on that because every single router is different. So if you don't know how to port forward on your own router, YouTube, best idea for you. Find out what your router is called, stick it into YouTube, and there'll be a video I'll pretty much guarantee on how to port forward on your own router. That'll be the easiest way to do that. So back to FiveM. If you go to settings, you can enable localhost in the menu item. So that just means I can literally click localhost for when I am testing. So this is now loading in, downloading everything that it needs to download. And then it seems to just pause for a split second. As you can see, it's picked up the fact that I am joining. There's me user ID. Remember guys, you have to, if you are setting this up, you have to make sure you are the first person to join. If you're not the first person to join, then you won't have super admin and admin privileges. Okay, so the very first person to join, I have no idea why this just froze on me. First person to join has FiveM. Sorry, has FiveM. First person to join gets super admin and admin. Okay, you need both of them to be able to add other admins, add cops, add EMS, add mods, add chief of police, anything that you want to do. That's what you need. And the first person by default to join your server gets super admin and admin. So please make sure you are the first person to get super admin and admin. Because you'll just end up, I mean, if you aren't the first person to join and you think, oh no, someone else has joined now, super admin's gone, the easiest way to do it is just wipe your your database, just delete it, create it again, and then just start the server again. Nice and simple. Alright, okay, couldn't load resource session manager. Right, if you get this issue, right, all you need to do, restart session manager. If it's the very first time that you've ever started FiveM server, something that I should have brought up beforehand, so it's a good job I did try to run the server. The very first time you run the server, it'll create a cache. Okay, so you see now there's a new folder there called cache. If you ever clear that, delete it or whatnot, then as soon as you've started your server, or if it's the very first time you started like I have there, you just simply type in restart session manager into your CMD here, and it will restart session manager. Okay, obviously as you can see I've got my port open, so I've got some random bloke just joined on the server. So this will work now. So if you get the issue where it just freezes on connection there, just restart the session manager and you'll be good to go. See, so this was a case there where, of course, I had the ports already forwarded and I'm setting up the server. Now that could have been a case where someone had jumped on the server before I could get on the server, and then I would have had to wipe the database. So that now just load in. You'll get into the main menu. I'll just do a quick talk through of the menu and the commands from the admin perspective, just to wrap the video up really. The loading time doesn't take too long. You can actually move this little guy about. If you guys don't know what this is from, it's from Grand Theft Auto 1, the original Grand Theft Auto, one of the games back from many moons ago that I used to play a lot of. If you haven't got it now, I suggest you do get it just to feel what it was like for the heritage. It's actually really fun, especially a game that you can just play. It's really small. I think it's freeware now as well, so you can just download it for free, and you can just play for a couple of hours, and you'll actually just get immersed into the game. There's also a Grand Theft Auto London as well, and then GTA 2 of course, etc, all with the same style. If I remember rightly, I think GTA 3 was the first one that was third person. So GTA London and GTA 2 were the ones that were like overhead view like this. Okay, so your first teleport in, you'll start in a location similar to this, and then you'll teleport to the start location. Obviously my computer's, the reason it's lagging so much is because my computer's quite old. That's why it took so long to load in and everything then. So you probably won't have this issue, to be honest with you, unless you've got a computer that's as old as mine. So as soon as you see there, welcome to the server, press the K to use the menu. You know, you can just press K and it gives you the menu. Every single person starts here, okay? So the admin menu, so add a group, user ID, right, let me show the user ID. So the user list is here. It says number 1, so that's the user list if you're ever adding someone to COP, EMS, admin, anything that you add the group to, it's the database ID. So you need to make sure you select user list to get the database ID, then add a group. So I know I'm ID 1 and I'm adding myself as a COP. Okay. Now that doesn't change my job role at all. That just means that I can actually go on duty as a COP and select my service, etc. Same for the EMS. So 1 EMS, and so if you want to give yourself an item, 1 pills, 1 pill. I can't remember the name of the item. I think it's capital pills. There you go. Yes, it is case sensitive, everything that you do on here, by the way. So as you see, they received 20 pills, so that should now be in my inventory. So you can give yourself any items, give yourself any money. It's not in the inventory at the moment, but what I can suggest is if you are giving yourself money, okay, so don't go ridiculous. You can crash the database by giving yourself too much money. So I'd say like 9 million. Nothing in the air costs more than 9 million, I don't think. So just give yourself 9 million. As you can see in the top right of the screen now, I've got 9 million. To get rid of the user list, you have to select it again. User list, wham bam, done. Make sure you create a new identity, and then you'll see on the user list, instead of saying change me, now it says the person's name. Along with the thing to the right is the vehicle registration of the owner, if they do own a vehicle. So obviously right now I don't own a vehicle, so just giving me jargon at the moment. Right guys, so this is it. You're in the server now, everything's set up, you know the basic admin aspects of it, you know how all that side of thing works. You got the server up and running. If you do have any questions, or if something goes wrong somewhere somehow, make sure that you get yourself over to my Discord. As I say, the link will be in the readme. That'll come with the actual folder itself, and it's also on my GitHub. The link for the GitHub is also Patreon. Sorry, the link for Discord is also on my GitHub. Right guys, speak soon.